In Planet Reddit, today's story is...
My wife allowed her friends to humiliate me for years. When I discovered their secret chats, I made a decision that changed our lives forever. I am 44 years old and in the process of divorcing my wife Lisa, 39, after 6 years of marriage. The reason is that she allowed her friends to disrespect me, making fun of me while she watched and even seemed to enjoy it. Isn't that reason enough to separate? Apparently, everyone around me says I'm crazy to take this so far over something they consider trivial. It may be insignificant to them, but my dignity is fundamental to me. That's why I want to know the opinion of impartial people who don't know me or my wife. Let me tell you how we got into this situation. Lisa had a close group of friends from university. From the beginning, I sensed that they didn't like me, but I ignored it. Why should I care what my wife's friends thought? They meant nothing to me, they weren't my friends. From the first time she introduced them to me, I felt a negative energy. They tried to be friendly, but in a visibly forced way. The sideways glances and the awkward silences spoke for themselves. I thought that maybe they needed time to accept me. I am an introverted person and I find it difficult to connect with strangers. However, those subtle signals clearly indicated that they didn't want me there, and their attitude never changed, remaining the same as on the first day. If I made a joke, they would look at each other with mocking smiles. They shared inside jokes that I later discovered were at my expense, jokes that Lisa never bothered to explain to me. Other times the taunts were quite direct. One of them asked Lisa bluntly, "How did you end up with him?" Lisa just laughed and replied, "Oh, you get used to it," as if I were some kind of unavoidable nuisance. When I asked what she meant by that, they quickly changed the subject. The worst part was that she never defended me, not once. Later, when I confronted her, she played it down, saying they were just harmless jokes. Over time, I stopped going to places where I knew her friends would be. However, sometimes they would come to our house and I couldn't help but feel uncomfortable. Although I only maintained basic courtesy with them, their presence disturbed me. On many occasions I asked Lisa why her friends were so distant with me. She usually ignored the question, but once she revealed the truth to me, her friends believed that she deserved better, that I was too old for her and that, possibly, she was too attractive and young for me. Besides, my financial situation was not exceptional. She said to me, "My friends see me as an intelligent and confident woman, and they expected me to marry someone wealthy or similar." Her words made me question why she had married me or whether, deep down, she shared that opinion. She assured me that she married for love and that she was happy with me. That was the only problem in our marriage. If we removed her friends from the equation, we had a wonderful life, both busy with work, helping out with the housework at weekends, spending Sundays privately or going out together. We had no significant conflicts, except those related to her friends. With them, Lisa was transformed. Normally she was kind and considerate, but in their company she became another person, a nasty version of herself. All her friends had that influence. Maybe she was just trying to fit in. The critical point came 5 months ago. Her computer broke down and she used mine temporarily. She logged into WhatsApp on my computer but forgot to log out. Days later, I opened the app and realized it was her account. I was about to close it when 600 messages started syncing. As everyone knows, there is no way to stop the synchronization. My intention was to log out, but I saw my name several times in their group chat. Seeing fragments of the messages, curiosity got the better of me and I opened the conversation. The reality was worse than imagined. Not only did she tolerate the hurtful comments, she seemed to enjoy them. There was one friend in particular who was very critical. She had married a wealthy man from the music industry a year ago and constantly bragged about his money, his travels and his gifts. Her husband was also handsome. He would frequently send photos to the group and tag Lisa, asking, "What did he get you for your birthday?" Or "Where is he taking you on vacation?" This was already painful, but Lisa's responses were what really got to me. One of her friends commented, "Sometimes I swear I don't understand what was going through your mind when you decided to marry him." Lisa replied, "I wonder that too." Then someone added, "He's boring, he doesn't even buy you flowers." And she replied with a laughing emoji. That was her reaction to the comments. She either laughed or agreed with them. Her friends constantly encouraged her to talk badly about me, occupying approximately 40% of their conversations. One even suggested that I find someone more interesting. Lisa replied, "I certainly think so." Comments or looks in person were one thing, but this was much worse. It seemed that physical absence gave them freedom to be cruel, and my wife actively participated. I exported the entire conversation to my email and saved it. I was naive to believe that we had a solid marriage, when evidently not even my wife thought so I didn't understand why I should continue to believe it. I continued to check but didn't find anything more relevant. not even in her chats with her mother. When she got home, we needed to talk. When I mentioned it, she first stood still and then panicked, asking how I had found out. I explained that I had forgotten to log out of my computer. She tried to steer the conversation towards my supposed invasion of her privacy. It's typical of manipulative people. They try to turn the problem into your fault. I replied, "You didn't log out, and honestly, I'm glad you didn't. At least now I know what you really think of me." She defended herself by saying that she hadn't said anything negative about me. I showed her the evidence and the situation exploded. She was genuinely furious, while she justified herself by saying that her friends were only joking, that they criticized everyone and that I was no exception. But talking badly about everyone didn't make them better people, it only confirmed my negative impression. I replied, "I don't care what they say or do. You, as my wife, should have defended me, but you enjoyed their insults." She continued to justify her friends, but I was clear, it was either them or me. I told her that she should eliminate them from her life right then and there, by calling them on the phone in front of me, or our marriage would be over. I explained that this would be proof that I valued our marriage more than her friendships. She hesitated. She really hesitated. She replied, "Come on. You know they're just joking and you're exaggerating." I said to him, "Fine, you've made your decision, now I'll make mine. I'm not going to waste any more time here when I'm just a laughing stock to you." She panicked. "Are you really going to end our relationship over a few messages? Over something so insignificant?" I replied, "It's not about messages or little things, it's about self-respect. As my wife, you should protect my dignity and you failed to do so." Even then I was considerate and offered her the chance to fix it. All she had to do was distance herself from them. What is the point of keeping people in your life who belittle you and make you feel insignificant? But she didn't understand. She apologized on their behalf and promised to keep them in check in the future. I told her that's not good enough. "I don't want apologies, I want you to cut them out of your life right now. If you can't, then I'm leaving." After many heated arguments, he finally stated firmly that he could not cut ties with his friends. He argued that they had come into his life before me and he could not lose them because of me. I took my jacket and said, "Fine, then this marriage is over." End of discussion. He tried to stop me, but I left the house. In the days that followed, I told him that we should start living separately, that one of us should move out. Initially he resisted, but when he realized that my decision was irrevocable, he became enraged and said, "Think about it, I'm out of your reach. You might not be so lucky again." I laughed at her comment because it sounded exactly like her friends and reinforced my conviction that divorce was the best option. She smiled arrogantly and added, "Once I agree to the divorce, I won't change my mind. Even if you come begging." I laughed too and replied, "That's perfectly fine with me." She packed her belongings and left. We are now in the period of separation prior to the divorce. We have to wait 6 months and they are dragging on forever. I am counting the days until it is all over. We divided our assets equally and put the house up for sale. Fortunately, we don't have children, so there are no custody disputes. However, everything is complicated and, to make matters worse, the people around me describe me as impulsive and overly sensitive. They minimize what happened because it wasn't their wives who allowed this situation to arise. I didn't ask for a divorce at the first meeting or on previous occasions, but when I discovered unacceptable behavior. Even then, I gave him a chance, so impulsive doesn't describe me at all. If there's one thing I believe, it's that I took too long to act. If I had given that ultimatum at the beginning, I don't want to imagine what those who now call me impulsive would think of me, but I want to know, am I really the impulsive one in this situation? Update. If a group of strangers consider that divorce was my best option, then I am at peace. I wasn't going to change my mind, but if anyone in my circle calls me impulsive again, I will show them these comments. Some of them have been quite funny about these people, so it will be entertaining for them to read them. The divorce is finalized. However, the waiting period was traumatic. She acted as if I were losing a priceless treasure, the best thing in the universe, as if I were giving up the most important thing in my life. All the while she was trying to manipulate me subtly using my parents and friends. You see, I'm a private person, I don't expose my life publicly. Part of this is due to my introverted nature, as I mentioned before. It's easier to share when it's anonymous. I didn't divulge all the details of my divorce, just general aspects, but she did. Of course, her version distorted reality, presenting herself as an extraordinary prize for which I should be eternally grateful. She described me as a paranoid husband who had spied on her, had found some harmless jokes between her and her friends, and had reacted disproportionately. My father even traveled to talk to me and try to make me see reason. He sat down with me and explained that women tend to rely on their inner circle of friends as a support network, a space to vent, and that I shouldn't feel insecure about it. He told me that I was acting impulsively, ruining my marriage over what he believed were simple, unimportant comments. I let him talk, and then, without saying anything, I turned on my computer and showed him the messages. As soon as he started reading, he said, "These are not just simple comments." After a long pause he added, "Now I understand." He didn't apologize directly, but his gesture of slapping me on the shoulder and simply saying, "Do what you must do, son," made me realize that my silence on the subject was turning me into the villain. Now I understood why everyone called me impulsive when she had spread her distorted version of the divorce. I want to clarify that I told some people about these chats in detail, but I gave others a summarized version. Even so, there are those who, with all the information, have decided to think that it is still a simple exchange of comments. I'm not sure I can show those chats, as they are private conversations that I cannot share publicly. Nor would I want to, as I prefer to keep my private life private. In any case, I managed to sell the house at a great price. We divided the assets equally. In economic terms, at least there were no disagreements and it was relatively simple. And I was satisfied with her attitude, because all I wanted was for it to be over as quickly as possible. She moved in with one of her friends and quickly began to exhibit an apparently free and exciting life on social networks. Her posts were full of photos and videos of parties, trips, and experiences. She knew exactly what she was doing. She wanted me to see it, to feel that I had lost something irreplaceable. She was trying to make me jealous. But instead of worrying, I blocked her on social networks and got on with my life. I will redirect my energy towards my own development. I joined a gym and lost weight. My health was a priority now that I had more time. I also started a side project that I had wanted to launch for years. With no negative influences limiting me, I felt more focused and productive than ever. I spend the day working, exercising at the gym and returning home to develop my business. It's proving rewarding, but she couldn't bear to see me doing well without her, so she started interfering in my life again. In fact, Lisa and I were in the middle of an in vitro fertilization treatment before it all collapsed. Under the circumstances, I withdrew from the process, making it clear that I no longer consented to having a child with her. Simple and reasonable, right? Not for her. This deeply upset her. She came up with an unusual request. She wanted me to allow her to have one of my children despite our separation. I refused outright. Any sensible person would understand. But she behaved with an exaggerated sense of entitlement. She began to beg me, first with text messages full of emotional paragraphs. Then the calls came. I hadn't blocked her number because I thought we would need to communicate about the divorce, but once it was over, I did. When she discovered that her messages weren't getting through and her calls were being blocked, she showed up at my door. She pleaded with me, "Please, this is everything I've ever wanted. You don't even need to get involved, just let me have this baby. I'll raise it on my own, you won't have to do anything." I replied, "I'm glad we didn't have children together, the separation would have been much more complicated. This way it's simpler and you want to complicate it by having a child of mine. Find a better husband, like you said you would, and have all the children you want. But leave me alone, I don't want to have any connection with you." She continued to insist, but I said to her, "It's over. I don't want any connection with you, not now and not in the future." She clung to my sleeves, crying and pleading, "I know we didn't work as a couple, but this is different. It's my dream, I've always wanted to be a mother. Please don't deny me this." But I wasn't denying her anything, she could have a baby with any other man. So I told her that my dream was to never have to see her again, but that I was making it difficult. She cried even harder, making all kinds of promises. "I'll sign whatever you want, no maintenance, no strings attached. You won't even have to see him, I just need this." I shook my head. "My decision is final, I have already informed the clinic to discard my sample and I will not provide any others. There is nothing more to discuss." When I informed her that the samples had been destroyed, she probably understood that she had lost. There was no way that I could provide her with new samples. According to her and her friends, I was a failure, so I don't understand why she would want a child of mine. Update 2 years have passed since my last publication and life continues to be extraordinary and transformative. During this time I have worked intensively on my business and the results have been impressive. It has grown so much that I have been able to give up my previous job to dedicate myself completely to it. It is the best thing I can share, because for me it is essential to have the freedom to work on something I enjoy. It's not that I hated my previous job, but dedicating yourself to something of your own is incomparable. I've been completely involved in this for 6 months now and I feel extremely happy. I don't want to sound like those motivational images on social media, but positive things really do happen when you eliminate negative people from your life. Her friends looked at me with disdain. She thought I wasn't up to her. Look at me now. She has been watching all this. I know for a fact that she checks my profile occasionally, because they have confirmed it to me. Not from her account because she can't, but through others that she has created. I even know what those accounts are, but the more followers the better. I don't post frequently, but when I do it's about my business achievements or vacations, never random content. Recently, I had a conversation with a mutual friend who told me that Lisa mentions me more often than she would like to admit. I thought she was the prize and not the other way around, that I was lucky to have her. Now she silently follows me every move I make. During the waiting period and even in the months after the divorce, she continued to post about her seemingly fun and varied social life. But life is not perfect for anyone and she should have known that. She allowed her friends to fill her head with the idea that she would find something better, and now look at her. She enjoyed that lifestyle temporarily, but eventually she felt lonely. All her friends went on with their own lives and stopped sharing so much time together. I know because they've told me she feels lonely. Even the friend who married that person from the music industry found out that not everything is perfect. Her husband cheated on her with a younger woman. She was one of those who criticized me for my age and now she has been replaced by someone younger than her. People like to judge others without seeing their own faults. The friend she moved in with after the divorce also got engaged and asked Lisa to leave. The best part? A mutual friend informed Lisa that I am dating someone new. And indeed, it is true. I have found love again. She is someone I met through my business, an intelligent, independent and kind woman with her own ambitions and determination. We met at work and the relationship is far from toxic like my previous relationship was. She is nothing like Lisa and that's the best part. She doesn't compare me to what she could get. She values me and sees me as the best for her, just as I do for her. You can't live thinking that there will be something better outside the relationship. That's harmful. When Lisa found out about this, she lost her temper. She turned up unannounced at my workplace asking for a few minutes. She began by apologizing. It was the first time she had ever uttered that word and she really seemed sincere. She admitted that it was a mistake to prioritize her friends over me. She revealed everything, how, eventually, her friends had focused on their own lives. 2 of them had children and lost touch, and another moved away for her husband's job. Their group disintegrated. That was the real reason she had been so desperate to have children, because her friends had them and she didn't want to feel left out. She confessed that she wanted to fit in with the group. These were the most popular friends from her university days and Lisa longed to be part of that circle. She did everything she could to belong, which is why she never defended me. Then she asked, "Now that I've cut ties with all my friends, do we have a chance?" I laughed at her question because it was 2 years too late. Besides, she hadn't cut ties with her friends, they had marginalized her. And when she had no one left, she came to me, as if I were her last option. I said, "What about my girlfriend? You know about her, right?" She feigned surprise and then whispered so that no one could hear, "You've only known her for a few months. It shouldn't be difficult, you know, to break up with her." I replied, "Actually, it would be, and do you know why? Because I love her. She's an extraordinary woman. I wish I could say the same about you." She said that I was just like the men she had been going out with. None of them treated her with respect or were a good choice. It's hard to accept that you get older and people lose respect for you. But she had my respect and she lost it. She even lost the chance to be a mother. I know that's unfortunate, because I also lost my chance to be a father to her when we broke up. But at least I know it wasn't my fault, and I remain convinced that the divorce was the best thing that ever happened to me. I wouldn't have met my current partner if it hadn't been for her friends. After chatting for a little longer, I asked her to leave, because I wasn't going to abandon my current life for her. There's no reason to. It would be like winning the lottery and giving it all away because you'd rather life was more difficult. No, that's not going to happen. I don't care how she feels, although I did see her very depressed that day. The time when I cared about her well-being is over. Update 3. I'm getting married, but not because I have to. I know that the circumstances might suggest it, and getting married when your partner is pregnant seems to be the only reason to do it. But it's completely the opposite. I want to marry her. Maybe it wasn't in my immediate plans. Maybe it wasn't my priority because my previous marriage experience had left me with consequences. But even before I knew we would be parents, I already knew that I wanted to share my life with her. So this is the natural step for us. In any case, we were already living together and had a dynamic similar to that of a marriage. I see this wedding as a celebration of this new family beginning. Because that's what we are now, a complete family. I had always wanted a wife, 1 or 2 children, although we're taking it one step at a time, and for my wife not to have toxic friendships. My fiancé meets all these requirements and has other qualities that I didn't even know I valued. So I'm extremely happy. For those who ask, my fiancé has normal friends, the kind who don't interfere in other people's lives just to ruin them and then disappear. Because that's what they did to my ex. They filled her head with ideas, but when they started their own families, they abandoned her. Best friends in the world, right? I know that my ex is still single, or at least without an official relationship, which confirms that she destroyed her life for nothing. Because that's what her friends represented, nothing. But I'm a grateful person, because without her friends and without my ex, maybe now I would be in a marriage that I would detest. Because if it hadn't been her friends, it would have been another problem. It's as if we were never meant to work together. Addition, my son was born before the wedding, so organizing the ceremony while taking care of a newborn was quite a logistical challenge. Fortunately, we received family support. And since my wife couldn't drink alcohol anyway, it didn't alter our plans. My son didn't wear a formal suit. I doubt they make one that's small.